It all started on a quiet evening when the world's most advanced space monitoring stations were running their usual scans of the universe. Day after day, they tracked stars, planets, and signals, hoping to discover something new. For many it was routine work, nothing extraordinary. But on this particular day, something completely unexpected appeared on their instruments, something that no one had ever seen before. A signal, unlike anything recorded in the history of human space observation, was coming from a distant corner of the galaxy. It was not just a simple radio wave or a random burst of energy. It was structured, deliberate, and most importantly, it carried a tone of urgency. The signal repeated itself in patterns that suggested intelligence. Whoever or whatever was sending it, it was not a random cosmic phenomenon. It was asking for attention. At first, the scientists could hardly believe their eyes. They double-checked all the equipment, fearing a malfunction or a software error. Every possible explanation was considered. Could it be interference from Earth, a satellite glitch, a meteor shower? But nothing fit. The signal persisted, and it became increasingly clear that it was real. It had a rhythm, a coded sequence, and a strange sense of urgency, almost like it was calling out for help. The discovery immediately shook the scientific community. Some were thrilled, imagining the possibility of intelligent life beyond Earth. Others were cautious, wary of what such a message might mean. In the world of science, confirmation is everything, so teams from multiple countries collaborated to analyze the signal in detail. They examined every frequency, every pulse, and every anomaly, hoping to understand its meaning. That as the signal was decoded, its true nature began to emerge. It was unmistakably a distress call. Whoever had sent it was in trouble, and they needed help. This revelation was both astonishing and frightening. Humanity had long speculated about the existence of extraterrestrial life, but this was the first time there was undeniable proof life that could communicate, think, and feel fear. The signal was not just a technical message. It carried emotion. It was desperate, pleading, and sorrowful, revealing the vulnerability of its sender. Researchers noticed patterns that suggested intelligence similar to humans in some ways. There was structure, logic, and even a kind of urgency that mirrored human calls for help in extreme situations. It was a sobering reminder that life elsewhere could face dangers just as intense and frightening as life on Earth. News of the discovery spread quickly, but initially it was kept under strict secrecy. Governments around the world immediately took notice, realizing the potential implications of such a signal. The top officials convened emergency meetings, discussing what the signal meant, how to respond, and how to handle public awareness. Some experts argued that revealing the existence of an alien SOS to the world could cause panic, confusion, or even widespread fear. Others insisted that transparency was essential because this discovery could change everything humanity knew about its place in the universe. Amidst all this debate, scientists continued their careful analysis, looking for any signs of the aliens' location, technology, or the nature of the threat they were facing. The message was complex and layered, with codes and repetitions that suggested a desperate attempt to be understood across the vast distances of space. Meanwhile, the ordinary people on Earth remained unaware of the growing tension in the control rooms of space agencies. Life went on as usual. People worked, children played, and governments conducted their daily affairs. But far above them, a distant signal was being heard, a call that could decide the fate of an entire civilization. The scale of the discovery was immense. Humanity was now faced with undeniable evidence that they were not alone, and that other intelligent beings were out there, facing crises that required immediate attention. The thought alone was overwhelming. Could humanity even reach them in time? Did Earth have the technology, the ships, or the courage to cross such unimaginable distances to answer a plea for help? These questions weighed heavily on the minds of everyone involved. As the investigation deepened, patterns in the signal suggested that the alien situation was extremely dire. There were sequences indicating destruction, warning, and urgency, as if they were communicating the danger that surrounded them. While humans had long imagined first contact scenarios, most were idealized friendly encounters, cultural exchanges, and peaceful greetings. But this was different. This was not curiosity or exploration, it was a cry for survival. The researchers realized that if they failed to understand the message correctly or delayed in acting, the consequences for the alien civilization could be catastrophic. Each decoded fragment brought new revelations, but also more questions. Who were these beings? What threatened them? How advanced were they? And, most importantly, could humanity do anything to help? The discovery sparked excitement and fear in equal measure among those who knew of it. Scientists were thrilled at the chance to study a real, intelligent alien civilization. They marveled at the idea of communicating across interstellar distances, understanding a completely alien culture, and learning from a species that had survived in an environment entirely different from Earth. But alongside the excitement was a creeping fear of the unknown. What if the message was a trap? What if humanity was walking into a conflict or danger it could not possibly survive? The ethical and strategic dilemmas were immense. Responding to the SOS could make humanity heroes, or it could make them targets. Yet, despite the risks, the undeniable humanity in the message, the desperation, The plea for help compelled those in charge to consider action. Gradually, the decoding of the signal revealed something astonishing. The aliens were not just sending a simple call for help, they were providing coordinates, details about the threat, and even their own technological limitations. It was as if they were trusting humans to act responsibly, despite having no prior contact. The message was painstakingly clear. They needed aid, and time was running out. Experts debated the feasibility of responding. Could humans build ships capable of traveling the immense distance in time to make a difference? Was it even possible to reach them at all? These debates consumed the top minds of Earth for weeks. As every option was considered, from sending unmanned probes to full-scale human intervention, the complexity of the situation was staggering. Yet one truth became increasingly obvious: humanity could not simply ignore the call. The aliens were in desperate need, and somewhere deep inside, people felt that moral imperative to respond. As the days turned into weeks, more teams joined the effort. Mathematicians, engineers, linguists, and military strategists worked tirelessly to analyze a signal, uncover its hidden meanings, and propose potential solutions. Computers ran simulations of every scenario imaginable, from simple messages back to Earth to full-scale rescue operations. The pace of progress was both exhilarating and exhausting. The tension in the space agencies grew, as every decoded message seemed to increase the urgency. There was no precedent for this. No one had ever faced a situation where a truly alien civilization reached out, expecting assistance from humanity. The sense of responsibility was immense, and the human world was standing on the edge of a decision that could forever alter its place in the cosmos. Despite all the secrecy, leaks eventually reached journalists and the public. Rumors swirled about the discovery of alien life, and excitement ran wild. Conspiracy theories mixed with genuine curiosity. But the truth remained hidden in the controlled environments of laboratories and government offices. Inside, scientists and officials worked around the clock, deciphering every nuance of the SOS. Every signal, every pulse, every sequence became a key to understanding not just the message, but the civilization behind it. As they slowly pieced together the evidence, a clearer picture began to emerge. A highly intelligent, advanced species in grave danger, relying on humanity to answer their call. The reality settled on those who studied it most intensely. This was history unfolding in real time. Humanity had received a plea from the stars, a true, intelligent call for help. For the first time, humans were aware that they were not alone in the universe, and that other life forms might need them. The mixture of awe, fear, and moral responsibility was overwhelming. And though the world outside continued in its ordinary pace, the people who knew the truth felt the weight of a decision that could not be postponed. One alien SOS had reached across unimaginable distances, and humanity now faced a choice that would define its future: respond or ignore. Knowing that the fate of an entire civilization might rest in their hands. After days of analyzing the alien humanity finally understood the severity of the situation. The message was not vague, it was precise and terrifying. The alien civilization was under attack by an enemy far stronger and more numerous than themselves. Entire cities were being destroyed, fleets of their ships were being annihilated, and their survival was at stake. The signals indicated desperation, as though the aliens had nowhere else to turn. The images embedded in the transmission, strange but clear to human. Sensors showed cities burning under weapons that humans had never imagined. Structures of alien architecture, glowing with energy, crumbled and fell, while countless lives were at risk. Humanity's scientists, engineers, and military leaders stared at these transmissions, struggling to grasp the reality of a species in desperate peril thousands of light years away. The truth was undeniable. Action was required, and time was running out. The discovery created an unprecedented global dilemma. For the first time in history, humanity faced a moral and strategic decision of cosmic scale. Should Earth respond to a distant civilization, knowing that helping them would be costly, dangerous, and perhaps even impossible? Some governments were hesitant, fearing that intervening in a conflict beyond human understanding could provoke unintended consequences. Military leaders warned that the unknown enemy could pose a threat to Earth itself. Scientists debated whether humanity had the technical ability to travel the immense distances in time to make a difference. Economists worried about the enormous cost of assembling a fleet capable of interstellar war. Despite the risks, one fact was clear: the aliens were pleading for help, and their lives were at stake. Ignoring the SOS felt morally wrong, almost unimaginable to those who truly understood the message. The debate among world leaders and scientists was intense. Some argued that the best response was a cautious one: send unmanned ships, drones, or robotic intervention. These, they said, could assess the situation without risking human lives. Others argued for immediate full-scale intervention, believing that only a massive human presence could turn the tide. The arguments went back and forth for days. Ethical dilemmas were discussed endlessly. Was it right to risk human lives for the sake of alien survival? What if the enemy was so powerful that the fleet would be destroyed and Earth provoked into interstellar war? Could humanity bear the consequences of meddling in affairs beyond its comprehension? Yet, each time, the sheer desperation of the alien messages brought the conversation back to a simple, undeniable truth. Help was needed, and it had to be done quickly. Amid this debate, the human public remained largely unaware of the true scale of the situation. Ordinary citizens went about their daily lives, oblivious to the fact that decisions of cosmic importance were being made in secret. In government centers, top scientists and military leaders worked day and night, analyzing every signal, simulating possible strategies, and preparing for an unprecedented mobilization. Computers calculated distances, travel times, and energy requirements. Engineers sketched new ship designs and upgraded existing vessels to handle the enormous journey across the galaxy. Communication specialists studied the alien messages to ensure that any human intervention would be understood, avoiding mistakes that could lead to disaster. The sense of urgency grew as every day passed without action. Finally, after weeks of deliberation, humanity made a historic decision. They would respond. The choice was not easy, but it was unanimous among the leaders and experts who understood the full gravity of the alien SOS. Plans were drawn to assemble a fleet capable of traveling across thousands of light years and engaging in combat if necessary. This was not a simple military operation. It required cooperation among nations that had often competed for dominance on Earth. For once, politics took a back seat to survival, both human and alien. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to convert existing technology into a form that could survive deep space travel. Ships were reinforced, weapons were upgraded, and navigation systems were pushed to their limits. Every detail mattered because failure was not an option. As preparations began, humans also studied the alien signals for guidance. The aliens had shared some details about their attackers' fleet sizes, weapon types, and defensive weaknesses. This information became the basis for human battle planning. Military strategists pored over every fragment of data, simulating encounters with the enemy, and devising strategies to protect the aliens while minimizing human losses. At the same time, scientists worked to understand the alien environment. Gravity levels, atmospheric conditions, energy sources, and even alien biology was studied carefully. Every piece of knowledge could mean the difference between success and failure. Humanity was learning at a speed never seen before. Driven by the moral imperative to save another civilization, the scale of the task was enormous. Humanity had never sent ships so far, and never assembled such a vast fleet. It was a combination of cutting-edge technology and human determination. Millions of people contributed in some way: engineers designing ships, programmers coding navigational AI, soldiers training for combat in environments far beyond Earth's familiar conditions. The sense of purpose was palpable. For the first time, humanity was united on a goal that transcended borders, politics, and even personal risk. There was fear, of course. The fleet's commanders knew that they were venturing into unknown territory, facing a powerful enemy that might destroy them. But that fear was balanced by a sense of duty, a conviction that some things were worth risking everything to save. As the fleet was finally assembled, preparations shifted to the final stage: logistics and coordination. Communication channels were established across ships, military units were synchronized, and strategies were finalized. Humans practiced interstellar maneuvers, ran countless simulations, and prepared for the possibility of failure. There were moments of doubt, long nights of tension, and heated debates over tactical choices. Yet, the SOS signal from the alien world remained the driving force. Its urgency, its desperation, and its raw honesty reminded everyone why they were undertaking this mission. That alien civilization had trusted humanity with their survival, and that trust became a moral compass guiding every decision. Publicly, the announcement was carefully controlled. Citizens were informed that humanity had detected a mysterious alien message and was studying it for possible action. Governments emphasized caution, scientific curiosity, and preparedness. But behind the scenes, a far more ambitious mission was underway. Humanity was readying its full war armada for interstellar travel, an unprecedented feat that had never before been attempted. Every detail had been considered: fuel requirements, life support, communications, combat readiness, and coordination across a fleet that spanned multiple nations. It was the largest mobilization in human history, not just in scale but in purpose. Humanity was about to respond to an alien SOS, taking responsibility for the fate of a civilization far beyond its own borders. As the departure day approached, there was a mixture of excitement, anxiety, and hope among the fleet's crews. Engineers and pilots checked their systems one last time. Soldiers and strategists ran final drills. Scientists made final calculations and adjusted plans for the journey ahead. Families and friends said tearful goodbyes, knowing that this mission might be the most dangerous in human history. And yet, there was also pride. Humanity was taking a bold step into the unknown, driven by morality, courage, and the desire to do what was right. The alien SOS had changed everything. It had transformed humanity from passive observers of the cosmos into active participants in its unfolding drama. Finally, when the fleet was ready, orders were given to depart. Ships activated their engines, lifting off from Earth's surface and heading toward the stars. The alien SOS had been answered not with words but with action. Humanity was no longer just a planet-bound civilization. It had become a force willing to travel across unimaginable distances to save lives, to confront the unknown, and to uphold the principle that some calls for help must never go unanswered. As the fleet disappeared into the vastness of space, the world held its breath, united in anticipation of what was to come. The journey had begun, and the story of humanity's response to a distant, desperate civilization had officially started. The journey across the stars was unlike anything humanity had ever attempted before. When the massive fleet left Earth, it was not just a voyage, it was a mission of survival, courage, and determination. The ships, built and prepared by the combined efforts of nations, were the most advanced ever created, but even their technology faced the ultimate test. Each vessel carried thousands of people, pilots, soldiers, engineers, scientists, and support crews, all trained for a journey that could last years. They were leaving behind everything familiar: homes, families, routines, and even the comforting knowledge of their own planet. In their place was uncertainty, danger, and the infinite expanse of deep space. Yet, despite the fear, there was a sense of purpose that united every soul aboard. They were answering a call for help from a civilization they had never met, trusting that their efforts could make a difference. From the very first days, the crews realized that traveling such distances was more than just operating machines. Space itself was a challenge, full of unpredictable dangers. Cosmic storms could damage ships in minutes, gravity anomalies could throw navigation systems into chaos, and even tiny particles moving at high speed could pierce hulls designed to withstand much more. Engineers worked tirelessly, constantly monitoring every system, making repairs, and improvising solutions to problems no one had encountered before. Pilots learned to navigate through areas where sensors barely functioned, relying on instincts, training, and their collective intelligence. Every day was a reminder that the universe was vast, unforgiving, and indifferent to human effort. But it was also breathtakingly beautiful. Stars stretched endlessly, nebulae glowed with colors humans had never seen, and entire galaxies sparkled like cosmic jewels. It was awe-inspiring and terrifying at the same time. Life aboard the ships was a mixture of strict routines and moments of wonder. Crews trained rigorously, running drills for emergencies, simulated attacks, and complex maneuvers designed to keep them safe when approaching unknown territories. Engineers and scientists were in constant motion, adjusting propulsion systems, monitoring energy consumption, and ensuring that life support systems functioned perfectly. Soldiers practiced combat strategies for threats that could be completely alien, learning to adapt to situations they could not fully predict. Yet despite the structured life, there were moments of camaraderie, laughter, and storytelling. People shared experiences, hopes, and fears, forming bonds stronger than any previously seen in human history. This unity became one of the fleet's greatest strengths because facing the unknown alone would have been impossible. As the fleet traveled, communication became one of the biggest challenges. Signals between ships were delayed, sometimes by hours or even days, depending on distance and interference from cosmic phenomena. Coordinating a fleet of this size across vast distances required constant attention and precise planning. Strategy meetings were held regularly, even in orbit, with officers adjusting courses and tactics based on simulations and predictions. The alien SOS provided some guidance, but humans knew very little about the enemy they might face. Each day brought new uncertainty, and every decision carried immense weight. Despite these challenges, the crews adapted, learning to trust technology, instincts, and each other. The sense of responsibility was immense. Every choice could mean survival or destruction, success or failure. During the journey, the crews encountered phenomena that were both fascinating and dangerous. Massive asteroid fields required careful navigation, or a single collision could destroy an entire ship. Energy storms disrupted communications, forcing crews to rely on manual controls and careful calculations. Dark matter pockets warped space, creating unpredictable gravitational effects. Each hazard tested human ingenuity, pushing engineers and pilots to innovate on the spot. Every success was celebrated, every failure learned from, and slowly, the fleet became more than just a group of ships. It became a living, thinking entity capable of adapting to one of the most extreme environments imaginable. The journey was shaping humanity into a force capable of surviving in the vastness of space, and the stakes were higher than ever. The psychological challenge of the voyage was immense. Crew members were far from home, with Earth appearing as nothing more than a distant tiny point in the sky. Some struggled with isolation, fear, and the constant pressure of responsibility. Others thrived on the excitement, the sense of purpose, and the knowledge that they were part of something greater than themselves. Mental health teams were deployed to provide support, using counseling, group therapy, and personal sessions to keep morale high. Recreational activities were organized whenever possible. Holographic simulations of Earth landscapes, virtual games, and storytelling sessions helped keep the crew connected to familiar feelings. The human mind was being tested as much as the fleet itself, and the success of the mission depended on both technical skill and mental resilience. As the fleet drew closer to the alien system, anticipation mixed with anxiety. Reports from sensors indicated strange energy signatures, unusual gravitational patterns, and signs of destruction on planets and moons. These were clear signs that the alien civilization was already in dire trouble. Military strategists reviewed every detail of the alien SOS, adjusting plans to account for what they observed. Tensions ran high as crews realized that the enemy was powerful, cunning, and capable of striking quickly. There was no margin for error. Every system had to function perfectly, every maneuver had to be precise, and every crew member had to be vigilant. The months of training and preparation were about to be put to the ultimate test. Despite the dangers, there were also moments of awe and wonder. The alien worlds, though damaged, were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Cities with structures taller than any on Earth, glowing with energy, and built in ways that defied human architecture stretched across planets. Strange ecosystems thrived in hostile environments, showing that life could adapt in unimaginable ways. The aliens themselves, glimpsed through sensors, appeared highly intelligent, moving with purpose, and clearly in distress. Humanity was seeing life beyond its own planet, and it was both beautiful and heartbreaking. The contrast of vibrant alien civilization under attack created a powerful motivation for the fleet. They could not fail these beings who had reached out across the stars for help. The fleet faced its greatest test yet, navigating a treacherous region of space where enemy forces were known to operate. Using intelligence gleaned from the alien SOS, human ships took calculated risks, flying through narrow gaps between asteroid fields, dodging energy anomalies, and moving in formation to maximize both defense and speed. The tension aboard every ship was palpable. Crew members worked with extreme focus, fully aware that a single mistake could cost thousands of lives, both human and alien. Engineers monitored propulsion systems for strain. Pilots adjusted trajectories in real time, and commanders coordinated attacks and defenses with precision. The vastness of space, which had seemed awe-inspiring during the early stages, now felt like an obstacle course fraught with danger at every turn. As the fleet finally approached the outer reaches of the alien system, signs of battle became undeniable. Scorched planets, debris from destroyed ships, and energy signatures of weapons fire marked the presence of a formidable enemy. Humanity's preparations were being tested in reality, not just simulations. The fleet's crews felt the weight of responsibility more than ever. They were no longer just travelers in space, but protectors of a civilization on the brink of extinction. Every maneuver, every calculation, and every act of courage would determine the outcome. The alien SOs had guided them this far, but now it was up to humanity to act with skill, strategy, and heart. The journey had been long, perilous, and transformative. The fleets that left Earth as machines had become something more, a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and the moral choice to help others in need. Even across unimaginable distances, humanity had crossed the void, faced the dangers of space, adapted to challenges no one had foreseen, and emerged ready to confront an enemy threatening an entire civilization. The alien SOS had summoned them, and they had answered with determination, unity, and courage. What awaited them was unknown, but the journey had prepared them in every way possible. Humanity's presence in the alien system was not just a mission, it was a statement. When another life calls for help, humans are willing to rise above fear, limitations, and the unknown to respond. The fleet was now on the edge of the action, ready to turn the tide and prove that across the stars, humanity could make a difference. When the human fleet finally arrived at the alien system, the sight that met them was far worse than any simulations or warnings had suggested. The alien civilization was on the brink of total annihilation. Massive cities were burning, their towering structures shattered by weapons that glowed with unnatural energy. Alien fleets, which had once moved with grace and precision, were scattered and broken, drifting lifeless through space. The enemy was still active, firing relentlessly, and the signals from the aliens indicated panic, confusion, and hopelessness. The urgency of the situation was immediate. If humanity did not act quickly, this entire civilization could be wiped out within hours. For the crews of the human fleet, the stakes could not have been higher. They were facing not just an unknown enemy, but a desperate, collapsing situation that demanded split-second decisions and coordinated action. The fleet moved in formation, a careful balance between offense and defense. Commanders had spent months preparing for such a scenario, running simulations and studying the SOS signals for every possible advantage. The alien messages had included critical intelligence about the enemy's tactics, weapon types, and weaknesses. Human strategists used this information to plan initial attacks, protect the most vulnerable areas, and coordinate the fleet's movements. Every ship had a role. Some provided direct firepower, some offered shielding for allied ships, and others focused on rescue operations, retrieving survivors from destroyed planets and vessels. The complexity of the operation was staggering, yet the fleet executed it with remarkable precision. Despite being thousands of light years from Earth, the coordination reflected humanity's ability to work together under extreme pressure. As the battle unfolded, it became clear just how powerful the enemy was. Their ships moved faster than humans expected, using tactics that were clever and unpredictable. Weapons fired beams and projectiles with devastating accuracy, and entire fleets of alien vessels had already been destroyed before the human forces arrived. Despite this, the human fleet pressed on, adapting to every attack, learning from every encounter, and slowly turning the tide. The combination of advanced technology, human ingenuity, and careful planning gave them an edge. Engineers monitored shields, energy systems, and weapons in real time, making adjustments to maintain maximum effectiveness. Pilots maneuvered with skill and daring, dodging attacks while delivering precise strikes to enemy positions. The human crews understood that failure was not an option. The lives of the SOS senders depended entirely on their success. Amid the chaos, humanity also prioritized saving alien lives wherever possible. Rescue teams moved quickly to evacuate civilians from damaged cities, transporting them to safer locations within the alien system. Medical personnel on human ships provided immediate care, using advanced technology to stabilize injuries and protect vulnerable populations. Communication with the aliens was challenging but essential. Using the decoded SOS as a guide, human operators translated instructions, reassured the frightened, and coordinated evacuation efforts. The alien people, though terrified, gradually began to trust the human forces, recognizing them not as invaders but as saviors responding to their desperate plea. It was a delicate balance. While engaging in battle, humanity also worked to preserve life, proving that their mission was not conquest but protection. The intensity of the combat tested every crew member. Soldiers, pilots, and engineers worked tirelessly, often for hours without rest, their focus unbroken despite the danger surrounding them. Explosions rocked ships, alarms blared constantly, and every maneuver could mean life or death. Yet amidst the stress, teamwork and human determination shone through. Crews encouraged each other, shared vital information, and adapted strategies on the fly. Commanders made difficult decisions, sometimes sacrificing small groups of ships to protect larger populations. Every action was driven by the urgency conveyed in the alien SOS, which had warned of imminent destruction if help did not arrive immediately. Humanity's response was now fully tested, and the courage of every individual was a key factor in the unfolding battle. One remarkable aspect of the battle was the way humans learned and adapted in real time. The enemy's tactics were sophisticated, designed to overwhelm and confuse, but human crews observed patterns, exploited weaknesses, and coordinated counterattacks with precision. Engineers adjusted weapons to exploit vulnerabilities. Pilots devised maneuvers to outsmart enemy fire, and strategists modified fleet formations based on evolving conditions. The alien SOS had given them a starting point, but human ingenuity was essential in responding to the chaos. Each successful engagement, each rescue mission, and each calculated strike gradually shifted the momentum in humanity's favor. It was a vivid demonstration of the ability to think, adapt, and act under extreme pressure, an ability that had always defined human survival on Earth and now extended to the far reaches of space. As the battle continued, the scale of destruction and heroism was immense. Entire fleets clashed in vast space, energy beams illuminated the darkness like fireworks, and explosions tore through the void. Ships were damaged or destroyed, and countless human and alien lives were at risk. Yet the determination of the human forces never wavered. Every loss was mourned, every victory celebrated, and every crew member pushed themselves to the limit. Teams worked together seamlessly, relying on training, experience, and trust in each other. The sense of purpose answering the alien SOS and protecting a civilization in danger gave everyone a reason to keep fighting. No matter how dire the situation seemed, it was a battle of skill, courage, and moral responsibility, all unfolding on a scale far beyond anything previously imagined. In the midst of battle, human and alien cooperation became a key factor in success. The aliens, initially overwhelmed and panicked, gradually began to coordinate with the human forces. Using signals, gestures, and limited communication methods, they guided human ships to the most critical locations. Civilians were evacuated more efficiently, defensive positions strengthened, and critical targets neutralized. The alliance between humans and aliens was not just practical, it was symbolic. It demonstrated that mutual trust, courage, and determination could overcome fear and chaos, even in the most extreme circumstances. The SOS had brought them together, and now their combined efforts were making a tangible difference in saving lives. After hours of intense combat, signs of progress began to appear. Human strategies were effective, enemy forces were weakened, and more alien lives were being saved. The tide of battle, which had seemed overwhelmingly against the aliens, started to turn. The human fleet's ability to adapt, coordinate, and act decisively created opportunities to strike critical enemy positions, protect vulnerable populations, and push back the attackers. The energy and skill of the crews, combined with advanced technology and careful planning, began to overwhelm the enemy. It was a turning point, not just in the battle, but in the mission itself. Humanity's decision to respond to the SOS was proving that even across unimaginable distances, they could make a decisive impact. Throughout the conflict, the emotional weight of the mission remained high. Crews were aware that their actions were literally saving an entire civilization from destruction. There was pride in their success, fear of the remaining threats, and determination to see the mission through to the end. Every decision mattered, every strike, every rescue, every maneuver contributed to the outcome. And as the final phases of the battle approached, the human fleet's presence became a symbol of hope for the aliens. The once desperate messages of the SOS, filled with fear and despair, were now matched with signals of relief, gratitude, and cautious optimism. Humanity had transformed from distant observers to active participants in the survival of another intelligent species. By the end of the day, the human fleet had achieved what once seemed impossible. The immediate threat to the alien civilization had been significantly reduced. Cities that could still function were stabilized, populations were evacuated or protected, and enemy forces were pushed back. Human and alien cooperation had proven effective, and the courage and skill of the crews had saved countless lives. The SOS, which had begun as a desperate plea, was now a call that had been answered successfully. Yet even in the moment of triumph, there was awareness that the work was not entirely over. The aliens had survived, but the scars of battle remained, and humanity knew that continued vigilance and support would be needed to ensure long-term recovery and peace. In the aftermath, the full significance of the mission began to sink in. Humanity had crossed unimaginable distances, faced extreme dangers, and intervened successfully in a conflict far beyond Earth. The SOS had not only summoned a fleet, it had summoned courage, determination, and unity on a scale never seen before. Every person aboard the ships had contributed, and every life saved was a testament to the choice humanity had made to act. The battle had tested skills, technology, and morals, proving that when another civilization calls for help, humans are willing to rise to the challenge. The story of the SOS and the fleet's intervention would become legendary, remembered as a moment when humanity looked beyond its own world and chose to protect life wherever it was threatened. After the battle had ended, a quiet but tense calm settled over the alien system. The once chaotic scene of destruction was slowly transforming into an area of fragile recovery. Human ships remained in orbit, providing protection, medical aid, and support for the alien civilization that had been on the brink of annihilation. For the first time, the aliens were able to breathe, to gather their surviving population, and to begin understanding the full scale of what had happened. Cities were scarred, fleets were destroyed, and countless lives had been lost, but the immediate danger had passed. Humanity's intervention had been decisive, and the SOS that had once been a desperate plea had been answered fully. For many aboard the human fleet, this moment was one of reflection, pride, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that they had played a crucial role in saving another intelligent species from extinction. The aliens themselves were cautious but increasingly grateful. They had never experienced contact with humanity before, and at first, there was uncertainty and fear. But as the humans helped evacuate survivors, repaired critical infrastructure, and shared resources, trust began to form. Alien leaders reached out through the same systems that had sent the SOS, expressing thanks and sharing details about their society, culture, and technology. The human teams were careful to respond respectfully, aware that they were interacting with beings whose customs and ways of thinking were completely foreign. Still, communication grew more fluid with time. The aliens were relieved that someone had come to their aid without expecting anything in return, and their gratitude was both profound and sincere. This interaction marked the beginning of a unique relationship, one built on trust, compassion, and the understanding that help could cross even the vast distances of space. Human crews, meanwhile, were busy ensuring that the recovery process was effective. Engineers worked alongside alien technicians to restore damaged systems. Medical teams treated the wounded, both human and alien, learning quickly about alien physiology and healing processes. Scientists documented every discovery, studying alien technology, energy systems, and environmental adaptations. There was a shared sense of curiosity and wonder among all involved. Humans had traveled thousands of light years to save lives, and in doing so, they were witnessing a civilization unlike anything seen before. The beauty, complexity, and resilience of the alien cities, technology, and society left many humans in awe. For the first time, humanity had a real, tangible connection with life beyond its own planet, and the experience was both humbling and inspiring. That as the immediate recovery stabilized, conversations about the future began. Alien leaders, still shaken by the trauma of the attack, asked humanity about its intentions. The human representatives explained that their mission had been to respond to the SOS and protect life, not to control, invade, or interfere in governance. They emphasized the respect for the alien society's independence, and the desire to build a relationship based on trust and cooperation. The aliens listened carefully, appreciating the honesty and integrity of the human crews. This openness created a foundation for dialogue, collaboration, and potential long-term partnership. It was a historic moment. Two intelligent species, separated by unimaginable distances and experiences, beginning to understand each other, sharing knowledge, and building mutual respect. The SOS that had summoned the human armada was now the starting point of a profound interstellar relationship. The human fleet, while providing protection, also began to assess the damage caused by the enemy. Many enemy forces had retreated or been neutralized, but some remained hidden or dormant, threatening potential future conflicts. Strategists and commanders worked with alien leaders to develop defenses and early warning systems that could prevent a repeat disaster. The aliens were grateful for this guidance and assistance, recognizing that humanity's experience in organizing and deploying large-scale operations had been instrumental in their survival. It was clear that the SOS had not only saved lives in the moment, but it also provided a pathway for the alien civilization to become more resilient against future threats. This realization brought a sense of accomplishment and hope to both humans and aliens alike. During this phase, the humans and aliens shared knowledge more freely than ever before. Human scientists were fascinated by alien technology, energy systems that defied conventional physics, transportation methods that were faster and more efficient than anything humans had ever built, and communication systems that allowed instantaneous coordination across vast distances. The aliens, in turn, were eager to learn about Earth, human history, culture, and technology. This exchange of knowledge created a mutual curiosity and admiration that deepened the bond between the species. For the humans, it was a reminder that the universe held endless mysteries and possibilities, and that collaboration across civilizations could lead to discoveries far beyond what any one species could achieve alone. The SOS had brought not just a call for help, but an opportunity for growth, learning, and shared progress. As days turned into weeks, recovery continued. Human crews rotated responsibilities, ensuring that the aliens could manage their own systems and infrastructure while still benefiting from the expertise humans offered. Medical teams helped rebuild hospitals and training programs, engineers assisted with rebuilding power grids and transportation systems, and strategists worked with alien defense forces to improve coordination and readiness. Each success reinforced the value of the SOS and humanity's decision to answer it. The aliens, who had been terrified and desperate just weeks earlier, now had the tools, knowledge, and confidence to begin rebuilding their civilization. They expressed gratitude repeatedly, acknowledging that without humanity's intervention, much of their society would have been lost forever. Beyond the practical work, there was a profound emotional impact on both humans and aliens. Crew members who had faced intense battles, terrifying hazards, and the constant threat of failure now reflected on what they had accomplished. They had seen destruction on a scale beyond imagination, yet it helped bring life, hope, and recovery. The aliens, who had felt abandoned and helpless, now experienced relief, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Bonds formed in the heat of crisis persisted even after the immediate danger passed. Mutual respect, trust, and appreciation created a foundation that neither species had anticipated but both valued deeply. The SOS, once a symbol of desperation, had become a symbol of hope, courage, and the power of interstellar solidarity. As recovery continued, human leaders began considering the long-term implications of the mission. The successful response to the SOS had demonstrated that humanity could operate effectively across interstellar distances, coordinate massive fleets, and work alongside alien civilizations. This realization carried profound consequences for the future. Humanity had proven that it could act with moral responsibility, strategic skill, and compassion even when the risks were enormous. The success of the mission inspired new discussions about Earth's role in the galaxy, the potential for future alliances, and the ethical responsibilities that came with interstellar capability. The SOS had not only summoned immediate action but had also challenged humanity to think bigger, bolder, and more responsibly about its place in the universe. Eventually, the human fleet prepared to return to Earth, leaving the aliens with the tools, knowledge, and systems necessary to maintain their civilization independently. Farewells were emotional. Humans had risked everything to save a distant species, and the aliens had trusted them completely. There were celebrations, expressions of gratitude, and promises to maintain contact. Both species recognized that the SOS had created a historic moment, one that would be remembered for generations. The human crews returned home with pride, knowledge, and a renewed sense of purpose. The mission had tested their limits, transformed their understanding of the universe, and proven that humanity could rise to meet even the most extraordinary challenges. Once back on Earth, the story of the mission spread. Though details were carefully managed, humanity had answered a call from across the stars, saved a civilization, and forged a bond that had never existed before. The lessons learned about courage, unity, innovation, and moral responsibility were celebrated and studied. The SOS that had once been a simple, desperate signal had reshaped human understanding of the universe. People realized that help, courage, and action could extend far beyond their own world. The aliens, once on the verge of destruction, had a chance to rebuild, thrive, and learn from humans. The mission had proved that life in the universe could be interconnected, that intelligence and compassion could travel across unimaginable distances, and that answering a call for help could change the course of history. In the end, the alien SOS had done more than summon a fleet. It had summoned humanity itself, revealing both its potential and its moral character. The aliens survived, their civilization endured, and humanity discovered a new chapter in its journey across the stars. The experience inspired hope, curiosity, and determination, demonstrating that no matter how far apart beings might be, a call for help could bridge the gap, and courageous action could transform despair into survival and friendship. The story of the SOS, the fleet, and the cooperation between species would be remembered forever as a testament to the power of unity, courage, and the choice to answer when someone, somewhere, calls out for help.